Can you hear me?
How's everyone doing? Brian Ponder here. As you know, I have a consumer law practice specializing in credit, debt, and real estate litigation. So today we have a impromptu session. We're going to talk about this letter from Portfolio Recovery Associates. And the person that actually tendered this letter is not on, but I said I would do a Zoom call to discuss it. So I wish he was here because what I would want to know aside from this letter, but we can work with this letter without knowing it, is what previous dispute activity took place with this. So I'm not, the only unknown I have is what was done before this letter. We can assume it was some type of dispute, but I tell you, a dispute can take on many forms, and it's a couple of things that I would want to know if someone gave me this. The first thing I want to know is, when was the first time that Portfolio contacted this consumer? And I would want to know what was the previous dispute before this letter, and what was the one before that, if there was one. So unfortunately, I'm working with a few unknowns, but this is still workable as far as a way of discussion. So let's look at this letter. Portfolio Recovery Associates, as you know, is one of the probably top three, I would think, debt buyers. And remember, a debt buyer of a defaulted debt is also a debt collector of that debt. So, so they are subject to the FDCPA. They are also furnishers to the CRA's, Consumer Reporting Agencies, so they qualify as a furnisher of information under the FCRA. So those are a couple of laws that they are subject to right away that we know of. Before we get into the letter, let's look at the account details. We see this letter was sent out April 2nd, so it's a fresh letter. We see the account numbers redacted. We don't need that. We see the seller is Synchrony Bank, and the original creditor is Synchrony Bank, right? So this, the most educated guess would be this was a revolving account credit card situation, with Synchrony being a real popular bank extending revolving credit cards. And current creditor, Portfolio Recovery Associates, which indicates that Portfolio is not just a debt collector. They bought this debt. They are putting themselves in a position of creditor. So if you see the debt collector listing itself as the current creditor, that should trigger that they bought the debt. They're the debt buyer. That's not super important, but now you know they're not, working for Synchrony. They are working for themselves, just so you understand the landscape of it. And they're trying to collect $888.32. So so it's good to go over there and try to figure out who's who over there, so you know who you're dealing with, I believe. And so let's look at this letter and see what it says. And again, we're going to have to assume that this person submitted at least one dispute. And according to this letter, the further assumption would be at least two disputes were submitted by this consumer. And I'm assuming also that this was submitted, because of where I got it from on behalf of a consumer by way of a credit repair organization owner. So let's read it. So, dear consumer, please be advised, we have received your dispute, and our records indicate we have already responded to a previous dispute substantially the same as your present dispute. Because your dispute alleges no new facts and includes no new information in which to form the basis for a new investigation, we will not be conducting another investigation of the dispute. Pursuant to 15 U.S.C. Section 1681 S2 A8 F I 2, okay, of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. If we continue to receive subsequent correspondence from you regarding a dispute that has already been resolved, we will consider your inquiry answered. No further replies will be forthcoming unless you provide the information we need to assist you. Our office considers this matter closed. All right. So, has anyone on here ever received such a letter verbatim? Okay. So if you have, you can unmute yourself and let me know or type it. Let's see. Has anyone received? Yes, Terrell. Terrell, have you received this exact response from Portfolio, for example, or someone else?
No, it was from Portfolio.
You did?
Yes.
Oh, how do you say your name?
You said it correctly.
Terrell?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great. So you received this exact same letter from Portfolio?
Yes, I have.
Tell me what was done before this letter. Before you got it.
I'm sorry, I had to turn my music down.
Oh, no problem.
What was done before this letter is very similar to this because it was, I was with FES in 2018, I believe. And so it was sent then. And so I think it might have been.
So this was sent then? This when you say this, you're talking about this letter was sent back to you?
No, a dispute was sent
by
on
FES
behalf to Portfolio. And so it was unanswered, saying that it was a valid account. And so the information was considered to be valid. A second was on behalf. And so then this letter came saying that basically verbatim, exactly what this letter right here is saying.
Okay.
For that account.
Now, when this letter came, was there a subsequent dispute to Portfolio that triggered this letter after FES did theirs?
Yes, because the second dispute was sent from a different credit repair company.
Okay.
So it was actually probably a year later that a second dispute was actually sent out to Portfolio. And they've actually sent out a judgment on this account.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay. And this is regarding your account or someone else's?
Mine.
Okay. So, a judgment. Okay. Okay. So, do you know what those disputes said that went out to Portfolio?
Probably. Not exactly.
Okay,
but
they were done by other parties.
I still have them. But yeah, I can definitely share that with you when I pull them out my desk over there. But gotcha.
All right. And let me ask you something. Since you're personal to this, did you, as far as this judgment is concerned, did you know about that? Were you ever served like anything?
Yes, I was actually.
It just defaulted, right?
Yes.
Default. Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
And do you recall ever getting an initial letter from Portfolio, like an initial letter that says you have 30 days and all this?
No, I don't ever remember getting a letter from them.
The initial letter, okay.
Because I think the only thing I did receive from them, I didn't know who they were. I think I did get phone calls that I never answered.
All right. And you were just a customer of FES, or were you an agent?
I was an agent.
Oh, okay, gotcha. You still an agent?
No, sir.
Oh, okay. I'm just saying.
No, no.
You know, hey,
That lasted a few months. No, sir. No, sir.
you feel like you on 40? What's that? First 48 or something? I'm like, I'm
No,
at,
sir.
okay. I'm just asking. I'm just asking. But yeah, I'm just asking. Well, all right. Well, we appreciate you providing your input. We don't know, so that's a good point you bring. We don't know. Portfolio will sue. You know, they're a big debt buyer. They have a lot of lawyers. They will sue on these debts. They buy them. They. The gamble is in their favor. Most people will default. I mean, think about this debt, $800 something. I mean, you're not gonna get a lawyer for $800 something to defend that unless you have like a real counterclaim for a violation against them, because you could just take the $800 and just pay that off. So a lot of people had a situation and they'll get the default because a lot of people don't think, most people, and correct me if I'm wrong, most people would think, well, I'm not going to call a lawyer about this because, yeah, I had a Synchrony card and, you know, if I had money to get a lawyer, I might as well just pay this off, right? I mean, let's see, depends on how the threshold is for them to take someone down to court. Well, yeah,
Brian,
obviously. I mean, they're not suing people on $50 debts, but $800 certainly good enough to get sued on when they have lawyers on salary and all they're doing is filing a paper, inputting some information. It's so automated these days, and you know they can garnish this with interest. So, all
Brian,
right, yes.
I was going to ask you or Terrell how this was disputed. Was it done through the bureaus or were they directly disputed?
Well, again, with this one we're looking at, we're going to have to guess. My guess would be this is a direct dispute to portfolio. That's my guess. Now we can ask Terrell her situation, but Terrell, do you think they were direct disputes? I don't know what FES does. I don't know if they even do direct disputes
Um,
with furnishers. It's probably just CRAs. I don't know.
After FES, I did do it on my own. And so I did do directly to them.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I did do through a company, through the, to the bureaus. But because, of course, after the judgment, of course, I didn't think there was a need to go through the bureaus.
Yeah.
I just went directly through them.
That's the part I'm concerned about, Brian, is they're sending back FCRA responses.
We're gonna talk about it. Yeah. So you wonder if it's a CRA generated. Well, let me ask you: has anyone ever disputed with a debt disputed a debt collection with the CRA and gotten a debt collector response back to them versus a response from the CRA? Has anyone ever experienced that where you didn't even
I have
dispute
not.
with a debt collector? Huh?
I have not.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that either. I have not, so I'm not going to assume that it doesn't happen. I'm just saying I have not seen it. Now, personally, in my practice, when I see debt collections like this, I don't do a CRA dispute. I go directly to the debt collector, and we'll talk about it. But so, yeah, good point, Rick. They are implementing the FCRA, and we're going to actually pull that up, and we're going to really dig into what they're trying to say. But I want to educate you all on a few things. This is actually probably a popular issue coming up for people, and that's why I wanted to sort of zoom it. So we already laid the framework. So we don't know what kind of dispute this was, but technically it doesn't matter because it was a dispute. Okay, dispute is a dispute. So and we know it got to them, right? So we're gonna be fine not knowing whether it was direct or indirect because apparently they got it. So because they got it, it actually triggers the FCRA and the FDCPA, okay? And just because they're responding, hiding behind the
FCRA.
the FCRA, well, we can figure out why, but they still have an obligation under the FDCPA. But we're gonna have to do some guessing regarding how deep that obligation is under the FDCPA.
And what is this agency y'all were just referring to that she went through? Terrell went through?
FES, let's see, let me pull up FES here. Let me, you're talking about, talking about
what
FES?
I was going to say is, yes. What I was going to say is I noticed on the one I seen with one of my now clients, they walked away from an agency. I don't know the name of it. They got the same response.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a pattern I'm seeing developing.
All right, let me pull up something here. Let me I'll pull up FES. Who was on last night with me?
I was.
I was on there last night.
Oh, so you know I'm about to be talking about these people.
Yeah.
Y'all laughing at me? All right, let's pull up FES. Where are they at? Is it showing? Oh yeah, here we go. All right, this is FES, right? FES.
Mm-hmm.
They're a credit repair organization owned by Michael Tolliff and Paramel Naik. So they must be making a lot of money because they paid $1 million penalty for violating some laws in Georgia. They're also an MLM, and I guess they're not following the MLM laws. But anyway, that's who she was referring to for a second. But let's get to, I'm gonna show the letter once again, and then we're gonna jump. So here's the letter, all right? So you remember, be advised, basically we're not gonna do anything with this dispute because we already did it, all right? So we got it? All right, so let's go back now and let's actually dig into, so let's write down, they're doing 1681 S-2 A 8 capital F I, then it looks like a 2. All right, so let's go. So you could just Google that and you can pull that up, and then we're gonna go to it and see what they're talking about.
So
All right.
Brian.
Yeah, yes.
So reading that letter, basically somebody reading that letter, what they would get from that is, this is your debt and we're not gonna do anything. We're not gonna discuss this. Just pay the debt.
No.
Okay.
You would get that whatever you disputed before, we already responded to that. You need to refer to what we said before. Now, obviously, with someone redisputing, I'm sure it's not resolved, right? So we don't know what that previous letter said, but I would assume it's something along the lines of not a deletion or something like that, right?
Right.
But this letter is not saying what you just said at all. It's just saying whatever you sent previously, Shadow's copy, what we already, and they're not saying anything about, so we don't really know what the previous response was, which could have been insufficient or in violation of some law, but we don't have it because they're saying we already sent you that. Deal with that.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go to the top. You can see this. So I'm at 15 USC 1681-2. So if you Google that, everything may come up. You go to S-2, which stands for responsibilities of furnishers of information. So that's what that section. So in this case, who's the furnisher? Portfolio. All right, let's see. Everyone see that? All right, so yeah, so we're at S-2. And so remember, you see that letter, I wrote it down because you can't see it now, but it's S-2 parentheses A. Here's A. and then 8. So we're at 1. So let's go on down to 8. There's 7. There's 8. And then 8F. Here's A. Let's go down to F. All right, here's F. We have I. There's I, 2. All right, so good. Here we go. Let's read it. This paragraph shall not apply. So let's scroll up to where, let's go to 8, because F is a sub paragraph of, let me see, where we at? Of 8. 8 oh, B, A, A. Where we at? Okay, so let's go to 8A. No, 8. Let's see, all the way up to A. A. Eight. And then F. All right, so 8 talks about the ability to dispute directly with the furnisher. All right, so if we think, there was a question earlier, is this a dispute direct to the furnisher or through the CRA? Technically, with them relying on this, we can assume this may be a direct dispute to the furnisher, because that's the law they're trying to hide behind, I'll say. All right, so 8, and then we're going down to F. Let's see what F says. F says, this paragraph shall not apply if the person receiving, now when they talking about person, they're talking about the furnisher, receiving a notice of dispute from a consumer reasonably determines that the dispute is frivolous or irrelevant. Let me go up, because I'm not sure y'all know. If you read up, they're saying a person, after receiving a notice of dispute from a consumer pursuant to D, the person provided the information to the consumer reporting agency. That's furnisher, the person that provided information to the consumer reporting agency. So this portfolio, they shall do all of this, okay? So I'm reading up to give y'all what they should do, right? Does everyone get that? So this is what they should do. F says they don't have to do it if, 1, by reason of the failure of the consumer to provide sufficient information to investigate. Well, guess what? They didn't say that. They didn't use this one. Or, so you can ignore this, because that's not the one they are quoting. They're quoting number 2. The submission of a consumer of a dispute that is substantially the same as a dispute previously submitted by or for the consumer directly to the person or through a consumer reporting agency under Section B with respect to the person to which the person has already performed their duties under this paragraph, subsection B. All right. Does that make sense to everyone?
Hey, Brian, this is Neil.
Yeah.
I mentioned that when I've seen this first call. Sorry, I'm getting on here late.
No, that's fine.
How you doing?
Good.
Good. Yeah, I mentioned to, usually you get these things when you challenge it for the same reason. I know you made a
Exactly.
comment back there. So, I always tell everybody, try and leave yourself an out and, challenge it for one reason at a time. And usually the only way this happens, usually if you challenge the same account for the same reason over and over again, it's going to raise a red flag. But I just want to make a quick comment here.
Absolutely. That's a great point by Neil. Because what reason I was asking Terrell, I don't know in this particular case, but I was asking is very likely when it was redisputed, it could have been the same nature of a dispute. And it just was able to be kicked out utilizing this submission substantially the same as before. So they have the right to do that under the FCRA. Neil was just giving you a great tip in that you can actually, if you feel like you may need some more bullets, here's a little magazine. Well, if you empty the whole magazine in that first letter, then you don't have any left, right? So what Neil is saying, in your first dispute, just use one bullet, because now you have a good number left, right? If you shoot them all out, they're gonna come back and say, look, man, there's nothing else. I mean, we've already dealt with that. We know you can't shoot us. We know you can't get us. Your magazine is empty, and so that's their out. Now we're going to take it further. We can deal with this, but obviously, as Neil was suggesting, we have to know what was sent already, because we don't want to send it again. Tim was said exactly. Don't give them everything in the first dispute. I can't say I subscribe to that, but I can understand why you wouldn't want to do that. But let's assume that happened here. Well, first of all, they can hide behind this if that was the case. If you want to fix it under the FCRA in a direct dispute to them, you can obviously understand what was sent before. So if you use a credit repair organization and have no idea what was sent, well, one, you can ask for those letters, and two, you can you're probably going to have to craft another dispute. Now, back to what
Hey,
kind of
Brian,
account this was.
By law, you are allowed to ask for, hold on a minute, my phone's going wacky.
Oh yeah,
here.
you got your feedback there, Neil.
Yeah, hold on a minute. Sorry about that. By law, really, if you ask for letters, they're really supposed to give them to you. The only thing is, though, whether there's a clause in the contract that you sign saying that they don't have to give it to you. So, it kind of makes it catch-22. But again, I just want to make a quick comment, and I'm not trying to take anything away from anybody here.
So we want all your
I have
feedback, Neil. We
I have
appreciate
an
it.
incredible collection letter that works. And if anybody wants it, they give it to me, Brian. I would even share it with you. But like I said, I'm not trying to make any money here. I'm just trying to help people in reference to this issue.
Yep.
But anyhow, I'm going to let you take it over. But if anybody like a copy of that letter, feel free to reach out to me. On
Yeah,
Facebook
Neil,
or whatever, but
can they find Factual Challenges is a group, and you can find Neil on Facebook. And Neil is suggesting, and like Neil, I agree. There's a specialized, in this particular situation, this is a revolving account. This is a credit card. There's something very special about credit cards versus other debts. And sort of like Neil's suggesting, we've developed over time certain tools for certain, broken issues. With this being a credit card debt and with a debt collector, if you're doing like a general thing, yeah, I have a letter that's called 1692 GB that just sort of attacks debt collections. But with this being a credit card, there's actually another type of letter, which is really a credit card dispute or deletion letter that can attack in a credit card type of account, because there's certain things that have to take place for even a credit card account to be a valid account in the first place, even if it was with Synchrony Bank, if you were attacking it with Synchrony Bank. So you are going to have to get your toolbox filled up with a certain letter of attack from Neil or wherever, because this is a special kind of situation and you don't want to just duplicate using something you found off the internet, because this is a special kind of account. Now, what I want to say is we want to actually resolve this, and we already said we can resolve it by, if we have access to those other disputes, identify what was done there and do something different, right? That would be a fix. Outside of that, I want you to look at your consumer report and see how this thing is listed. If you look at your consumer report, if Portfolio is reporting this $880.32, it should be showing disputed, right, Neil?
Yes, that's correct.
Why should it be showing disputed? Well, the FDCPA says under 15 USC 1692E, a debt collector may not use false, deceptive, or misleading representation or means in connection with the collection of a debt. That's the law there. Everything beyond here is giving you some examples, and they're not exclusive examples. It's just some examples that are sure shots,
That is correct.
without limiting the general application of the foregoing. Okay, that's what that means. Without limiting the foregoing, this is the law. You can't do anything false, deceptive. So that's subjective, or it means, in collecting the debt. But they're going to give you some examples that say, look, this is a violation. The following conduct, look, is a violation. Let's go down. I'll let y'all read the rest later, but let's go down to 8, communicating or threatening to communicate to any person credit information which is known or which should be known to be false, including the failure to communicate that a debt is disputed. So I say that to say, we're just trying to see what we can do, what we can latch on to, right? We're trying to climb, we're trying to get to the top of this mountain, and there's some twigs, and we're trying to see what we can grab onto to get us where we're trying to go. So if we look at this consumer report, clearly this thing, they've already told us it's been disputed numerous times, at least one more time, at least twice. So we need to look at it and see if it says it's disputed. If it's not, what do we have?
The violation.
We have a violation right there. So we could just look at our report.
Hey, Brian, real quick.
Go ahead.
Can I say something to you? Because I'm sure you know this, but when I'm doing mentoring and things like that, real quick, just everybody, 2 things I always look for when I get a result back. And believe it or not, 70–80% of the time, it comes in this way. When you get a result back from Experian, Equifax, or TransUnion, first 2 things I look for was the account noted as in dispute by the consumer, which is an FCRA requirement. And the second one is the status date and the date updated is supposed to change on the report. Okay, so if you did a dispute in March, you get your results in April, and the date, the status date or date updated, depending on what bureau you're looking at, because TransUnion's different, and it says 7 of 19 or 6 of 18. You got to ask yourself, did they actually conduct a reasonable investigation as required by the law? And the answer is no. Okay, so what you're doing, you have 2 violations there. You have one because it's not noted in dispute by consumer, the 30-day time frame, as you well know. Plus the second one is the status date or date updated. If it's not changed, you got them for a violation, because it tells you not only with that one, but both of them, they didn't conduct a reasonable investigation. That's a violation.
Absolutely. Very important there. Very important. Can everyone hear Neil okay?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. Very good. Very good. So Neil is already, like you said, you're looking, because we want something to be able to latch onto, right? We're looking to see if this thing is marked disputed. They've confirmed that it's been disputed. All right. If they didn't mark it disputed, well, we have a violation right there. How much is that? What's that worth? Let's see. A 1692K says any debt collector who fails to comply with any provision. Didn't we just go over one provision? So that's any provision. So if we looked at the report and it's not marked, it's not indicating that's just disputed by this furnisher here, they violated a provision. If they fail to comply with any provision of this subchapter, with respect to anything, that person is liable to the consumer for actual damages, okay, all right, whatever that is, who knows, right? Comma, if you're an individual, which this person is, such additional damages, additional, as the court may allow up to $1,000. So this $800 debt is already subject to up to $1,000 statutory violation, plus attorney's fees, court costs, all that good stuff. So if we look at the report, like if Neil looks at this report and sees they haven't even marked this thing disputed, and clearly it's been disputed a couple times, you can go back and say, you know what, I got your letter, but you're in violation of the FDCPA. You've acknowledged that this has been disputed 2 times at least. You've clearly not indicated such. You don't have to go so far as to say you're in violation of 15 U.S.C. 1692 E8, but you can say you fail to communicate to the consumer reporting agencies that it's disputed. So
Brian, they need to take note to make sure that they have an organized and detailed paper trail.
right. Okay. So you couldn't respond back. Now, again, we're making an assumption. You looked at the report and it's not marked disputed. So yeah, that could be your response. What if it is marked disputed? If it is marked disputed, then what we just said doesn't apply, right? Right. So let's go to validation of debt, 1692G. I was asking Terrell earlier, like I said, I don't have the information for this person. I don't know what they got before this, but I was asking Terrell if she ever got an initial communication. So now we want to think about initial communication. Now, Terrell was telling me about something in 2018. Let's go to 1692K. 1692KD tells us the statute of limitations is 1 year from the date the violation occurs. So you have to sort of think about that a little bit. I just want y'all to know it's 1 year. You have 1 year to do the violation. Someone had a quick question. The question was, is it good or bad to have a disputed comment on the report? We weren't really talking about the good or bad part. If it's disputed, it should be indicated as such by the debt collector. If they don't put that, it's good for you because it's a violation. All right. So I was saying 1692G, I was asking Terrell if she ever received the initial communication letter, because you want to see if it complies with 1692GA. We're sort of beyond the scope of that time. Then we can think about 1692GB, but guess what? This particular letter indicates it's been disputed a couple times. So we would want to know if they ever got an initial communication.
Especially if they move to a different location.
Right. Because Neil, what I'm thinking is, if you never got the initial communication,
Correct.
then that 30-day period may not have ever began.
Yep, you got that right.
You see what I'm saying? And
that
so,
happens a lot.
yeah, so anyone that has my 1692GB, the first question they ask me, well, this letter, well, can I still use it? It's been more than 30 days. Well, the answer is yes, and Neil probably knows because it still serves as a dispute. So even though you're outside the 30 days, even though it may not trigger GB, it's still a dispute that's going to trigger what we just saw. What was it, E8? But my letters always assume hey, I even say, hey, I just heard from you. I just learned of this or heard from you within the last 30 days. I go ahead and you can sort of, you can modify that. But anyway, if they never did a proper GA, then technically the GB period has not lapsed because it says within the 30-day period referred to in subsection A. If you never got the subsection A letter, then technically you're still in the GB category. So anyway, under GB, if there was no GA letter, you can obviously send, a verification letter. Now, here's where Neil was sort of referring to. Let's talk about GB, disputed debt. If the consumer notifies the debt collector in writing within the 30-day period described in subsection A. Again, what if you didn't get the A description? That the debt or any portion thereof is disputed, or that the consumer requests the name and address of the original creditor.
If you never got the A, the B would be valid past 30 days then, right?
That's what I was implying to you. That's what I was implying to you. If you never got the A, and like Neil was saying, what if what if the person moved and never got it?
And Brian, one of the key words is, being an attorney, that the key words is number one, alleged,
Right.
or assumption or assumed,
Right.
and never put the word in there, my, because once you put the word in my debt, my collection account, you just admitted it was yours.
Absolutely. I never owned that debt. I would put alleged account number, alleged original credit, alleged everything. Never take ownership of it.
And I'll tell you a trick that I do, and people might want to listen up to this because people think it's mandatory. It is not. So I'm just going to give you a heads up on what I do. People always ask me, how am I so successful doing this and doing that? Here's the reason why. Believe it or not, I do not put an account name on any challenge letter that I do. Never. I only put an account number. Now, what I do is if it's coming from ABC Collection Company, I put collection account and then the account number. If it's a charge off, I put charge off and then the account number.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a paid account that's closed, but I'm challenging a late payment, I put paid account late payments. I never put the creditor's name.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's for another subject another day. But because how many people do you know have 4 or 5 Capital One accounts or a couple Bank of Americas? The account number, they can always find the account. But if you just put the name without an account number, okay, which one? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
So, for me, that's just one of the tactics I use. Somebody out there may want to try and do that, but, I just thought I'd throw that in there. But yeah, the key words alleged, assumed, none confirmed or whatever. What I do is I always go in Google and I type in words that mean similar words to assumed, and you'd be surprised what you come up with. But with an attorney like you, Brian, I think those words are very important when putting a letter together based on assumptions and alleged.
Mm-hmm. I agree with Neil. Yeah. Never own up to, when you're writing these things, calling it a debt, my account, no, don't do that. And Neil was suggesting you don't even need to, if you have the account number, you don't need to list the original creditor by name. So let's,
And Brian, real quick, I don't even put the collection agency's name.
Okay, are you talking about a CRA dispute or?
Yep. Yeah, I
Gotcha.
don't never put a name of any account, any creditor, anything. I just put the account number just to make that clear.
Very good. So Neil was talking about a CRA dispute, not putting the creditor or debt collector's name, only the account number.
And the type of account it is, whether it's a collection account, I just put collection account. I don't put the name. I put a collection account underneath. I put the account number underneath that. I put the reason, just to clarify everything.
Very good. Neil's giving y'all some great tips here. Under GB, we were saying within a 30-day period described in Section A. Remember, we don't know. What if we didn't get A? that the debt or any portion thereof is disputed. So I'm gonna stop there a little bit because I want you to understand. And Neil, I tell people all the time, you gotta look at all these words.
Well, you got trigger words and keywords in there, as you well know.
Yeah.
And I have a whole list of them, believe it or not.
Right. So,
but no, you're right. And you know something, the way you're doing it, Brian, is right. You're breaking it down, demonstrating, this is factual. This is what I call factual challenges, it's based on facts. It's not fiction. And again, I don't want to take anything away from here because this is your show, but
you add
I'm just trying to implement and help everybody out along with yourself and so on.
No, this is an open, free, we're trying to help people. And I think, let me see, I think this was a question out of your group. So we're just lending our knowledge, Neil, to everybody here. So please, we like you to add your expertise. And so I just encourage people when they read, usually like if we do a FDCPA day, we'll go over definitions, but if the consumer, all right, and some of these things are click, consumer is an individual. Okay, let me see. There we go. All right, if the consumer notifies the debt collector, who's the debt collector in this case? Portfolio, in writing. So can we call this in? No. Okay, because if you don't do what it says, it's not going to trigger it within a 30-day period.
You never call anything anyway because they record everything.
Yeah, a lot of people do that, Neil, and they shouldn't do it. They record everything. They're going to make you say something.
That's right.
They're going to make you own up to that. Well, didn't you have a synchrony card?
Yeah, and you know something, you can say something one way, and they might insinuate it another way. Next thing they got you. And I'm trying to find out how and I'm not very tech savvy, as probably some of you know. I call myself a tech dope. Trying to find out how I can put this letter up on your screen to be able to give it to everybody. And
oh yeah, you should. Well, Neil, you can. You may be able to click share screen. I think I may allow. Let me see. It should be able to allow. Otherwise, if you email it, I could pull it up. But
yeah, I'm going to email it to you, Brian.
There's my email, Neil.
What's your email?
Brian@brianponder.com. I just put it in the comments, but if you send it, I could pull it up.
What is it, Brian Ponder?
Yep, Brian@brianponder.com.
Okay, I'm going to do this now.
Can you should be able to, yeah, if you pull it up, if you send it, I'll be able to pull it up.
It's already on its way.
All right, perfect.
Now what I did in here is I gave people options to pick a reason on, what they want to, how they want to use it. So did you get it?
Not yet. BRIAN, right?
BRIAN.
Oh, here we go. I got it. Here we go. I got it. So let me PDF that and show everyone what we have here. Say,
like I say, with this letter, I try to wallop them from all angles.
Portfolio. All right, 1 second. Okay. Portfolio. There we go. All right, perfect. I'm gonna pull that up. Thank you, Neil. And so let's get them through this. That any portion of the debt is disputed. What I wanted to tell you all is, can anyone tell me if you're disputing, what does it mean by any portion of the debt, any portion thereof? So if you have this is an $888 synchrony debt. What does it mean when they say that the debt or any portion thereof is disputed? What do they mean by any portion thereof? Can anyone just tell me that?
Well, maybe a count number. Would that be count number, date, actual balance?
So if it's a balance issue, what would so we got $888. What would be any portion thereof if it's a balance issue?
Maybe like late fees or
something that's not the actual service amount or something like that?
Right. So say if this thing was exactly $850. So technically you're not disputing that you owe them $850, but this 30 something dollars, you can dispute that. So you don't have to be disputing the whole thing. People think they need to say, oh, this is not mine. I don't owe $800 something. Well, maybe you do owe $850. But anyway,
Well, some of them charge you late. Some of them
yeah.
charge you interest and everything else on them too.
Right. You don't have to agree with that. I mean, unless you're an actuary, you don't know how they came up with these crazy numbers. So there's a lot of people have.
Brian,
yeah.
Would that be just saying that, and going back to saying that it has to be like 100% accurate to report?
Well, to report or collect. I mean, they can't even they can't report that you owe $800. They can just say $890. If you owe $888, that's inaccurate.
Gotcha.
And you can't collect $890 if I only owe $888.
Has to be accurate and truthful.
Yep. So that's exactly. All right. So if it's the debt or any portion disputed, or that a consumer requests the name of the original creditor, the debt collector shall cease collection of the debt or any portion thereof until the debt collector obtains verification of the debt, or a copy of the judgment, or the name and address of the original creditor, and a copy of such verification, or the name and address of the original creditor is mailed to the debt collector. So what's so strong about this is if you actually are within that 30 days, or if you never got an A, this is the part that really is great. They shall cease collection of the debt. So they technically have to stop collecting. And there's case law that says credit reporting is debt collection. So technically they need to delete that. And so a lot of times with the letter that I sent out, I give them the option. Look, you can either do my verification, and I want more than just a name and an address, or you can cease collection and delete. You know, and what we want, and they do a lot of times, is cease collection and delete, which is what they want.
A lot of times it's because they don't have the contractor information.
They're not going to have it, Neil.
Right. And
they're not going to have it, Neil.
And I'll tell you a short story. You've probably seen this on my Factual Challenges group, just for everybody out there. I'm going to tell you what, the simpler you do, the better off you are. Okay.
Absolutely.
I took a validation letter, and I sent there I put the account name or the account number, and it said, just give me all the information related to this account. I got a letter back a week and a half later, said they're going to forward the letter to the credit bureaus asking for deletion. That's the only thing I put in there, one sentence. I sent there, please forward me all information related to this account. That was it.
Wow.
I got a letter back, and I put it up there, the letter I sent and the results I got. And here's the letter that you see that I got up here now, because this is kind of a whammy thing. I call it the jack of all attacks when it goes to a collection, because I'm quoting quite a few laws in there. Brian, you can see them in there and so on.
Mm-hmm. I believe in that too, Neil. Keep it real simple. Like any letter you get from me is you're never going to quote, you're not going to make it all complicated.
Not in the very beginning anyway, Brian. You want to start out real easy and become aggressive as the rounds go on if need be.
Start off broad.
Yep.
Start off broad. Get what you can.
Yep.
Start off broad. Absolutely. And Neil was generous enough to show us this is a CRA dispute. So in a situation like this is what can be sent out to dispute. Okay. Y'all see that? I noticed inaccurate information on this one account. Quoting the FCRA, you're required to verify through physical verification of an original signed consumer contract for each of this. Your failure to record accurate list information below is affecting my credit. I demand that you delete anything that's inaccurate. And then, like we're doing now, a collection account number. Do not insert the name of the company. You see what Neil was talking about, right? Boom.
Hey guys, I got a quick question.
Go ahead.
If let's just say we have a client and they have more than one, just so like they got 2 or 3 connections. It's not from the same. It's the same company, but different.
You're breaking up.
Leaders to the bureau, but sorry about that. Can't you hear me?
Oh, start over for us.
Okay, sorry about that. Let's just say, because I have a client, and it's my cousin actually, and he has 3 different collection accounts. It's from the same company, but it's 3 different account like numbers. If we use that letter, will we just send 3 different letters with the account numbers, or would it be like one letter with the 3 account numbers?
Me personally, I'll do all 3 at one time to the same company. I've seen better results come out of that when I put 3 or 4 at one time instead of doing 1 at a time. But that's just me. I can't speak on everybody's behalf, because some people out there do very well, sending them out 1 at a time. Brian's probably going to have more input on that than I would. I just know for me, when I send out letters, you can see this one, there's multiple reasons in here that you can pick. And Brian, you see all the sections I'm putting in down below here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it says choose one based on what you're seeing, who it's with, what they're reporting, and so on. So what I did is I gave multiple choices on here for people to pick. But again, this is quoting certain sections and stuff. Now this is more aggressive, trying to knock it out of the ballpark, like with this portfolio and so on. So, and I do very well, and I'm not bragging here, but I do very well with portfolio, the tough ones, LBM funding, Verizon. A lot of people have a problem with Verizon. But again, I base it on one of these reasons. Every once in a while, I'll throw 2 in there, especially if I have an affiliate or something. They need something done very quick. Although I prefer not to do that, because I told you I'm one that likes to, send one reason and one reason only. But as you can see, there's multiple reasons down here. That's why I wanted to share this with everybody. And Brian, I'm going to let you dive on if you need to. If you want to break some of these, sections down in this letter real quick, I'm going to leave that floor up to you, and kind of sit back here and just relax and enjoy the view, so to speak.
So yeah, let me see. That question was from what's your name?
Chris Randall.
Chris. Okay, so Chris, you asking whether we putting it all in one letter or doing it all at one time?
Well, kind of both. If you have multiple items that you're gonna dispute with a CRA, if it's collection,
CRA, gotcha,
or what have you, would you put all of those items on one letter, or would you break them up and just send it up?
I'll tell you what I do. Now, when Neil comes back, we'll clarify what he was saying. I separate them into separate letters. But say if you got 10 different things, and so Neil, his question was, like with your CRA dispute here, if there are multiple accounts, my question to him was, is he asking whether we put them in the same in one letter? I understood you to say, Neil, you doing it at one time, but are you putting more than one in this letter? Like say if we got 3 collections or 3 issues, are you putting it all in this one letter?
Yes, I am. Most of the time I am. Every once in a while, if I have a client that's only got 1, then naturally I'm only going to do the 1. If it's 2, I definitely make an exception. 3 or 4, if it's 3 or 4, sometimes I'll break it up, either doing 1 first or 2 first and 1, or 2 and 2 if it's 4. Because then all of a sudden, in my mind, and only because my sister-in-law works for TransUnion for 6 years, that, you got to be careful with this, because, these long letters, like I said, they're a killer now anymore. I know the other big names out there that are using them, but I also know that a lot of people are getting the results back that they're not wanting and desired. Plus a frivolous letter, or a letter accusing of credit repair. And that's why I say it is so important to keep everything simple. But again, to answer your question, I break it up, but if it's only 1 or 2, I usually send them both at the same time. And as far as dispute reasons, I may use both the same one. I may use 2 different ones, and see which one works. If one gets deleted and the other one doesn't, I'm going to make a note of that. And then when I go back to do the other one, I'm going to use that reason that worked in the first place.
Right.
So you got to keep an eye and keep, like I say, keeping a detailed paper trail and organization of what you're using.
Very good. So Chris, that's what we're trying to get at. So Neil was putting them all in the same letter. First of all, that works. I've done that. Now, what I do now is different. I actually will break up. So if you got a portfolio, you have a Midland. So I'll do one letter to the CRA about Midland. And if it's the same CRA about portfolio, so we have 2 letters. But they're all going to go in the same envelope when I send it to, let's say, TransUnion. Okay?
Gotcha.
That's what I do.
You.
What if you have Navient or U.S. Department of Education and Navient, but 6 of those accounts, right? They come in groups. So would I do 6 letters? No. I'll have 1 letter with all 6 of those Navients, and in that 1 letter, and then another letter with the portfolio, et cetera, all in the same envelope.
Hey, Brian, I have a question.
Yep.
So if you have 2 letters that are going to TransUnion, say for the same account, but they're 2 separate accounts, have you ever tried going to 2 different credit bureau addresses, like Chicago, Illinois for TransUnion and TransUnion here in Chester?
I have not. I have not.
You'd be surprised, because I'm going to tell you a little bit of tip for everybody here.
All right.
I'm a stats guy. And I'm going to tell you something, believe it or not, TransUnion on 555 Adams Street, which is in Chicago, Illinois, 60661, has a better deletion rate, okay, by far, than TransUnion in Chester. Okay, it's about 14.5% higher at the Chicago address.
Very nice.
Can you put that address in the comment? The one
Yeah,
Chicago
I will do that.
And then also, when I'm doing Equifax, you have 740-241-256, 105-518, and you have 105-069. The 105-518 and 105-069 has a better deletion rate. Statistically, than the 256, okay? Experian, I only use 2 addresses anyway. I use 4500 and 9701. 9701 being the main one, as everybody knows. 2104 is extinct pretty much. And 2002 basically is for like fraud alerts and stuff like that, identity theft and so on. So anyhow, I just wanted to ask you, because I wanted to know if you ever tried that. Send 1 to P.O. Box 1, and TransUnion has P.O. Box 805 Woodland, PA now, 19094. That's another address they're using right now, and that's current. So, I just wanted to see if you had tried that, because I was going to ask you what your experiences were and the results, but since you said that you did not, but I just figured I'd throw that out there for
So that's something to try. I appreciate that, Neil. And I did type that Chicago address, and we'll get this replay will be on YouTube for those that just want to go back. Look at it. But that's awesome. Let me pull back up Neil's letter. So Chris, so I'll do that. And let me tell you why I do it, because both ways work. This is why I do it, Neil. I'll put it in the same envelope, because I found if something verifies and I want to sue on it, I don't want those other letters to come into evidence and be part of the case. So that's why I separate it like that. Not because it's more effective. I just separate it because they'll delete some stuff, won't delete some stuff, and I don't want to have to deal with them talking about some other dispute. It's not a case. It's not part of the case. So that's why I do it. And so I encourage people to do it, because you're saving postage. It's still going in the same envelope. Or if you're using letter screen, you can still put it in that same, mailing and save.
All right, Brian, I got another question for you. What happens if someone like myself knows where that collection came in at? In other words, their address.
Yeah.
So let's say it's Mrs. Johnson and they live at 123 Main Street. And I go in and I remove that personal bad identifier that was associated with that account. Changes the whole ballgame, doesn't it?
Now go back in the beginning. What are you removing again? What's the beginning?
I'm removing the address that was associated with that account. So let's say,
is it an old address or a current?
Yeah, let's just say it's old.
Oh
right?
yeah, definitely.
But here's the thing, you move that old address, and they say, well, we sent this to. What do you mean? What are you talking about? I don't live there.
Right. That's not even part of my file. Right.
Now, sometimes what I do is if I have a client that's living at an address for 10 years, okay, and they have multiple addresses that are associated with that address, I have them go out and get a street address at the UPS store.
Okay, and update there.
And update the street address. Then I go in and wipe out that current address they were at for 10 years.
Yeah.
Now anything is associated with that account, as you well know, and I don't know if anybody on here knows, I'm sure you do, Brian, maybe you don't. You know about the AIN number? Not the EIN, the AIN.
You talking about for the address?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you know how to find that, right?
They listed on some stuff.
Well, here's the thing. The address identification number that's on Experian reports only,
Mm-hmm.
you go in and look at the AIN number with that particular account and go in and match it to the address, personal address in the back end of the report. You know what address to remove, as you well know, but Equifax and TransUnion doesn't offer that. So that kind of sets you up to be able to help you with TransUnion and Equifax to get that address removed that's associated with that account, because we call them personal bad identifiers, but people call them personal minimizers, whatever you want to do. But I have them go, because that way it's not a PO box at a UPS store, it's an actual street address. And all I do is have to send that with the Social Security card and maybe a passport, because I don't want them getting anything else, and then that's how we get a lot of stuff removed, because that address is not associated with that account anymore on that report.
You ever pop up with CRA? What do they want to see to update that address to that new address? I mean, they're going to want to see something.
Well, the thing is, though, it's very easy to do, and I'll tell you how. When you get that address updated at, say, the UPS store, as long as you're within your same state, you go online to your Department of Motor Vehicles, and you can change your address on there usually for free.
That's
you have
right.
to print the little card out.
Oh, that's right. But do you want them? I'm just saying, short of jumping that hoop, would you ever have a situation where you're trying to update an address and you send in, hey, here's my passport, Social Security card. Well, do you have proof of that address? I don't know. I haven't bumped into that. I was just asking.
Yeah. Well, I have never run into that personally with a client.
Oh, okay.
Because what I have them do is after when they're in my program 6 months, because I don't allow anybody 6 months in my program more than that, I have them go back and change their address back to their original location, especially if they own a home or something.
Sure.
So it's only temporary. The stinky part, the bad part about it is, and I'm being upfront with everybody, for that 6 months, you usually got to pay about $60, $70. But if it enhances my deletion process.
Oh man, it's worth it. Come on. Yeah. Yo-Yo225 has a question. What's up, Yo-Yo?
Hello.
Hey.
Don't mess
with my Yo-Yo.
Look, I tried to change my name, but it keep kicking me out. And then when I come back, it changes my name back to
We like Yo-Yo.
So, Neil, I just wanted to know, if I can have a copy of this letter, if I can inbox you, because I can see it, but I'd like to have a hard copy if possible.
Well, I'm going to tell you what.
You on Facebook?
Brian knows how I am. I don't like to tread on any toes here. I just try to give information. I really don't, I don't like to speak a lot.
Okay.
But, when it comes to helping people, what Brian's trying to do here, I mean.
Can I give them your email, Neil, so they want to correspond with you on these things? Y'all can get with Neil. Neil has a whole program around this. Let me see, 3. Can I give you your email?
But again, Brian, this is your show. You're running this. I'm just trying to help out with information. I'm not looking to make anything on here. If anybody wants information, that's fine. But you know something, this is your show, you run it. You know how I am. I don't like to tread on toes.
No, we here trying to help people, so I'm not like that, unfortunately. So yeah, you can email Neil. Neil, like I said, Neil has a whole group based on factual challenges. So you know you should join this group, Factual Challenges, on YouTube, Facebook.
Yeah, and we also have one called the Inner Circle of Factual Challenges, which is only a very small fee, but that's for the Zoom presentation that we do 3 hour, one time a month, which is coming up this Thursday, everyone. So, but
Okay.
again, I'm not trying to tread on anybody's water here.
All right, very good. So there's Neil's information. So
I just
okay,
want
Chris.
to say
Go
thank
ahead.
you to both of you guys. So, because I'm new to the credit industry, so I definitely follow you, Brian. So I always look at all your videos, and I greatly appreciate all the information that you share.
Yeah,
so.
you're very welcome. And Neil, last night I did a video. You'll see it. I posted in the group on YouTube. We talk about education and training, and I told him, you know, anyone that's learned from one teacher, that's a fool. I didn't say it like that, but I encourage people to learn from their peers. I'm coming from a legal standpoint. I should not be your only teacher. You know, Neil has a great group, sophisticated people working on these factual challenges and issues like that. So yeah, you're going to have to get the education. And I'm not all implying you need to learn. And of course, you don't just want to learn from everyone. You know, everything is not correct out there. So the reason I invited Neil here is because Neil,
Brian, it's all about keeping it real.
Yeah.
And I think the factual challenges, because you know how I feel about that group, I don't allow, you know, a lot of selling or up marketing, because that's the reason why I started the group, because people were complaining like yourself. You asked me, I say, yeah, you know, that's cool stuff. But I'll tell you, if anybody wants to ask any question in that group, and Brian, you know, you've been a member in there for a little while now since we started. People tell it like it is in that group. We don't sugarcoat anything. But the one thing we do want is feedback. So how did this work? How were you treated? You know, unfortunately, I had to kick somebody out of the group that was going under a different name. When I got, well, it kind of burned me up, because I didn't agree with the way this gentleman was doing business, and we kicked him out, and he comes right back in under another name. But you know, you have people always out there that are watching for you, and you know that, you know, one bad apple in a batch can ruin it for everybody. So, but the thing is, though, I'm interested in growing that group, and I didn't really want to kick that gentleman out of the group, because that's not my forte, you know, way of doing things. I want to help people, but you know, if you're going to sit there and badmouth other people, you know, you're not going to do that in that group. But you know, like I said, it's a great group. Brian, I'm going to tell you, he's got a lot of great stuff out there, people. He's got a lot of stuff up, you know, for sale. Like I said, unfortunately, I don't allow that in my group, but you know something, I can put something up there. You know, he can sit there and say, you know, get in touch, whatever the case may be. But you know, it's still got to be approved by myself, because I'm the admin. But I'm telling you, there's a lot of great things that Brian has to offer out there. And if you people ain't taking advantage of it at the low price that he's offering it, let me tell you something, he can raise them at any time.
Yeah.
You know, but the thing is, though, he offers value for the buck. So, you know, and personally, you know, I've only have 1 or 2 things from him that I thought were very good, but I've been in the business 15 years too. So, you know, I have over 4,700 letters. Believe it or not, I have a whole terabyte filled, 4,700 letters, 4,700.
Wow.
So, you know, but the thing is, I have my favorite top 20, 25. And I'm going to give somebody a real good tip, because I'm going to have to jump off here in about 15 minutes or so, depending on how long it is. I'm going to tell you something. If any of you guys know Israel Katala, Brian, you know him. Okay. Tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, listen to what I'm going to give you here. This is value. And Brian, you can do the same thing. I go in with a lot of my favorite letters, and I go in and I copy them. So Microsoft Word, let's say I copy a letter, or I handwritten a letter. Anybody ever hear Spinbot? Anybody?
Sounds familiar.
All right, so what you do, you go into Spinbot, SPINBOT, okay? And you're going to see in the top box when you get on their webpage, you're going to copy the letter from Microsoft Word, go into that box and paste it in there. All right? And Brian, you could probably do this right in front of your computer while you're talking with me.
Okay.
You go in there and you paste it. And all of a sudden you hit, I'm not a robot. You know how that has that little box there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Then you can go in and pick a word that you want to have change in there. I always pick the word delete or investigate. And what you do, you hit the word go, and it changes the whole letter within a matter of 3 seconds, and all you have to do is print it out. And it reworded the whole thing, but it means the same exact thing, but in different ways.
Oh, man, yeah. I'm going to put the internet site on here. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, I have that subscription, Neil.
You don't need a subscription. You can do it for free. Don't pay for that damn
I do it from a website. It generates articles for the website.
Yep. So, you know something? I'm telling you what. You want to talk about doing letters up? And I'm going to tell you a trick that I do that saves a hell of a lot of people a lot of time. I will take the #1 credit bureau that has the most accounts, most PBIs, personal bad identifiers, names, addresses, telephone numbers, you know, employees, the whole 9 yards, okay? I take the one with the most. I send them to all 3 credit bureaus. I don't care if the other 2 doesn't have as much items. Why do I do that?
Mm-hmm.
To waste time. Because at the credit bureau level, I know from my sister-in-law, you only have 18 to 90 seconds. That's what the time is allowed for the dispute. 18 to 90 seconds. So if I have all these extra counts on there, I know they're not valid, but you know what's going to happen when they come back?
Mm-hmm.
The worst thing they're going to say is, this account is not currently reporting on your credit file, credit report. It's to make them waste time. But in my mind, time is valuable. So if I can do that and put it in SpinBot, boom. All I got to do is put Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, print them out and send it. How much time do you think that saves?
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Saves hours.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't have an updated system or you don't know how to work a system. So the worst thing they're going to say is this account's not currently reporting. This address is currently not reporting on your credit file. Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
It's all about wasting time. But that SpinBot, when people start using it, let me tell you something. You ever hear Credit Money Machine?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? They have a spinner in there. Some of your other ones, Credit Letters Generator, have a spinner in there. It's the same thing. But these are for people that if they don't have a CRM that does that, and it's so quick and easy. Copy, paste, go. Copy, paste, go. Copy, paste, go. All day long. I can knock out 3 clients per hour.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Time is money.
So you're saying, like, if I have a factual account or actual account number, and I want to dispute that, also create like 2 random numbers and add that to there?
Well, it won't create random numbers. What it does, it generates and regenerates all the wording in there. You never want to change the account number or anything like that. And I'm going to tell you something I do that people are probably going to take a back seat to. Let's say I have an account that only has 3 account numbers, right? And let's say they're collections. All right. I'll make up extra accounts.
Yeah.
I'll put capital 1, 51780043, because I know that's what they begin with. Credit 1, 4447, 7389. I make up numbers and accounts to make them waste time. Same way with names and addresses. If I do my own Neil Ronald Yegley, Neil R. Yegley, I do Neil Robert Yegley. I'll do Neil Richard Yegley. I'm making them waste time.
Beautiful, Neil.
Okay, so just to give anybody a little bit of tips to help you out, because like I say, I'm not going to be on here much longer because I'm slammed with work here. But like I said, you got to be creative. You know, I know they're not on there. They don't know it until they do it. And there's nothing wrong with that. If they say something to me, I'll say, oh, I thought that was a number from I had 2 years ago. I was trying to recall it. What are they going to do? Get me for it? They can't get me for nothing. Okay?
Excellent.
But what I'm doing is I'm wasting time, putting added burden. I like to put the burden on the credit bureau. I don't want the credit bureau to put the burden on me. That's what Factual Challenge is about, utilizing the information based off the credit reports that they believe is factual and utilizing that against them. Make sense, everyone?
Excellent, Neil. Excellent.
Well, Brian, like I said, I believe in what you're doing and what you're providing, and I know you're doing a lot of these Zoom presentations, and the word needs to get out. Spread it out there, everybody. You know, I'm not going to be able to get on here every time, but when I do, I'm going to be able to, you know, try and assist Brian. And Brian didn't ask me to do anything. I came here on my own. Was I invited? Sure, I was.
Absolutely.
But, you know, if I can help you guys get better results, I think it's better for the whole industry. You know, get away from that shadiness. Let's do everything the right way.
Neil gave you some great tips. Terrell, yeah, you can ask a question. Great tips, Neil. And we're looking at Neil's letter here to dispute it with the CRA. So to sort of wrap things up, the suggestion here is you're going to have to do something different with this particular account here. They're hiding behind the substantially same dispute. You're going to have to do something different. Neil gave you a great idea. You could shuffle things up, use another dispute reason. Now, for this credit card, I have for credit cards, I think you should look at 12 CFR 226.12 because that's going to give you some things to add to your dispute that they're not going to have. Of course, they're not going to have the agreement substantiating that debt. And let me show you something else real quick. How you're going to be able to get them with a new dispute. I'm going to go to this FDCPA. Where's Firefox? Here we go. Hold on. Here we go. All right. So here, we're going to go 1692 F. And remember we talked about E8. This is F1. One of my favorites is F1. Let's read it. A debt collector may not use unfair or unconscionable means to collect or attempt to collect any debt. That's the law. Everything else is an example without limiting the general application of the foregoing. So that's saying what we're about to say is not everything. It's just some things that are definite violations. The following conduct is a violation. Read number one very carefully. The collection of any amount, including interest. Someone talked about interest before. Fee, charge, or expense incidental to the principal obligation unless such amount is expressly. So what does expressly mean? Can someone tell me what expressly means? Expressly authorized.
Solely.
Huh?
Solely.
So expressly means it has to be, it has to be a fact. It has to be written. It can't be some secret implied interest rate or implied fee. Well, of course we're gonna collect collection fee on it. No, if that's not agreed to. Anyway, expressly authorized by the agreement. Where's the agreement? The agreement creating the debt or permitted by law. So permitted by law would be a situation where what if your credit card doesn't have interest once it charges off or something, whatever it may be. Well, say if they got a judgment, well, there's legal interest. So the law will permit that kind of interest. But if the agreement doesn't provide for it, that fee, that interest or charge or expense. I talked to a debt collector the other day. He was talking about, we tag on XXX. I was like, well, if that's not in the agreement, they can't, because they buy a debt, they can't just tag on a little fee to fluff it. So Neil was talking about the agreement. So if you look at 12 CFR 226.12 and then look at F1, you want to ask for the agreement that pretty much to the penny needs to account for what they're trying to collect. First of all, they're not going to have it. So,
that's an old saying, Brian.
Yeah.
The bold print giveth, the fine print taketh away.
That's right. So, as we wrap up, basically, is it marked disputed? If it's not, boom, you got them. Okay, no need to be wasting time. We got too much work to do. You got them. Let them know you got them. Let them know, and also copy the CFPB that you got them, and tell them what you want them to do. A lot of people forget, Neil, to tell them what you want them to do. Stop, cease and desist collection, and delete the thing off my credit report.
And
you don't want verification. You don't want them to reinvestigate. Stop telling them to run circles. Tell them exactly what you want them to do. I got you, and this is what I want you to do.
And I'm going to make a big point here. I'm going to tell you what, the CFPB has not been producing the results that they are supposed to be really doing. And I got to tell you, I got to be honest with you. I'm getting better results going to the BBB than I am the CFPB. And that's a known fact. I mean, if you know Mark Claiborne, Mark has found that out. He's been putting that out there too, that everything's going to is better off with the BBB. So
yeah, I'm about to incorporate that.
Brian, real quick before I get off, you're talking about the under 12 CFR, the section there. Charge-offs. If you go to 12 CFR 222.41, E is in Evan. Very powerful when it comes to charge-offs, because charge-off collections is that borderline. You know what I mean? But just throwing that out there. But yeah, so good stuff, man.
Well, thanks, Neil. Yeah, so we pretty much got through this. I'll just get other people to charge off. Is it marked disputed? If not, redispute that, but come with some meat. Come with some real stuff here. Not with what was sent before. If you can't get what was sent before, you're going to have to dig deep and pull out, whether you have this deletion package, you have Neil's letter. You need to dig a little deeper. Look at F1. We want that agreement. You're not going to get it. A card membership form is not an agreement. Okay.
Brian, let me make a point here before I get off. Hey, everybody, listen. So my letter is important and everything, but let's be fair here. Brian put this on for a reason. Brian's packages break down the explanation of what he sells. Okay, my letter doesn't do that. Okay, it just tells you to pick a reason. So, in all fairness to Brian, his packages are very good. There's explanations in there: why, what, where, who, when. Don't sell yourself short because you're listening to me on here, because this isn't about me. This is about you people giving back. That's what Brian's doing. That's what I'm doing. I'm just helping Brian a little bit, doing what he needs to do. But I appreciate everybody, and Brian, I appreciate you letting me chime in. I probably overspoke my boundaries here a little bit.
Oh, never. You can't. But, no, I know you're doing. People going to be trying to get you back, man. We're gonna have to pull you away one day
like
again.
I said, but the same thing. Kudos all out to you taking time out of your busy schedule to be able to put something on like this. And like I say, I want everybody here to know that you should check into Brian's stuff. It's super affordable. You're going to get your value for it. He's a great guy to do business. He's putting these videos together and Zoom presentations to help you people. I mean, even on here, when I'm on here, I'm going to learn something. I learned something today. I'm not going to say what it is, but I've been doing this 15 years. Always something. When you think you know it all, you usually don't. Okay. So with Brian, I'm going to let you take it over. I'm going to jump off here in about a minute or two. Appreciate you putting this up. Keep me informed on anything that I can do to assist you, or, in the same way with anybody in the group. And I'm going to tell everybody, whoever's going to email me, do me a favor, be patient. I am a very busy guy.
Hey, thanks, Neil. I appreciate you popping on.
Yeah, no problem. I'm sorry I got on here late.
Oh, no problem at all. And so, Neil is right. I was saying last night, if you know everything, that means you can learn nothing new. So be quick to understand that you don't know everything. I don't care what you are. Lawyer, judge, whoever. You don't know everything. And so, Neil, we appreciate your knowledge, and we're going to continue to learn from each other here. And so, wrapping up, is it marked disputed? If it's not, you're going to have to redispute that thing, but you're going to have to be targeted. You're going to have to dig deep, ask for the agreement. I do have a package here. You see it says debt collector dispute in letter 1. This one digs into a revolving account like this one. If they come back with something short of deleting it, we have a letter 2. Okay, we don't go past. There's no need to go past 2. If they don't do it after 2, you might need to contact me at that point. But it incorporates what we need to do. Now, I also have a dispute letter to the CRA. You see, it's only 1 because I'm unlike what we talked about earlier. I'm packing everything into that 1. If they don't do it with that 1, then it's time to we're gonna empty the magazine. Were you here earlier when I pulled out my magazine, Neil?
Yeah, I was there.
Okay.
I just got on just before that, about a
Oh
minute
yeah,
and a half,
so
2 minutes before that.
I'll empty the magazine in Equifax. I don't like them, so I'll empty the whole clip magazine.
Who the hell likes the credit bureaus? Nobody does. Some do.
Yeah, so I'll empty the magazine in them. The debt collector, I'll just do one shot at a time.
Hey, everybody's got their own way,
Yeah.
But I got to say this to you, Brian.
Yeah.
When I do go after a couple at one time, and then all of a sudden I don't get the results that I desire, which is very infrequent. But when I do go after them one at a time. Then
repo is stage 2. I staged the repo. You don't want to go into repo blazing because you need to see what they have.
Yep.
If you go into repo blazing.
Yeah.
So, but
a lot of people think the car dealerships are the original creditors when they're not. It's the banks that's the original creditor.
Yeah. So I got a good repo video. So anyone have any questions? Because we're all about to log off here, and hopefully you got value. Is it marked dispute? If not, come in with a good dispute and attack it uniquely. I need you. Anybody have
creative?
Derek, what you laughing at? My bullets? But there's a 380. They were. My uncle calls these.
Yeah, I'm
mouse
right.
bullets. These are 380. My uncle laughs at me for having this 380, but
I was laughing at you for saying you emptied the clip on it.
Right.
Did a clip. It doesn't matter what size they are, as long as you can shoot it accurately. That's what matters.
Somebody's gonna use this in court, trying to say I'm threatening the CRA.
As long as you're using it on the bureaus and not someone, you're in good shape.
Yeah, I'm not. I wasn't implying I'm shooting anyone. By the way, just want to make that clear. We're talking about emptying
documents,
all the reasons, because I don't want. Because I'm gonna put this on YouTube. They're gonna say, "Oh, I'm threatening." No, I've heard it.
Man, y'all don't be out there doing that. We know what he means.
I'm not talking about shooting anyone at a consumer report day. I would never do that unless my life was at risk.
That's why we have a Second Amendment.
Yeah, I believe in the Second Amendment. But anyone have any questions? We're about to jump off here.
Good show, Brian.
A quick question.
Yep. Okay.
I have a question. I sent the certified letter to a collection agency, and the certified letter was undeliverable because the address is bad.
Yeah, try to look them up on Secretary of State and see what their official address is, because a lot of times they be using those addresses that are not their real addresses. So try Secretary of State and try to figure out their net. I mean, obviously you can go to their website, but ultimately if you can go to Secretary of State, you can try to get their official principal address.
Okay.
Resend it. Just resend it.
Hey,
and it depends if it's time sensitive. Say if it's outside that 30-day period, you can probably I would leave it in an envelope and maybe put another letter to say it was returned, so you got proof of that. Maybe make a copy of that, so you got proof that it came back.
I was just going to say that.
Okay.
And that too, the CRA.
Oh, no, I'm talking about a debt collector. You said return from the debt collector. Find their address. Yeah. So find their good address, but copy and show that was. And guess what, Neil? That's inaccurate information too. So where did you get that address from?
That's right.
If it was on the CRA, if it was on a credit report, that's inaccurate.
Supposedly that's where they say they're verifying it from.
Mm-hmm.
We know that's illegal.
Yep. I had a whole litigation about that.
Yeah.
So any other questions?
Yeah, I got one thing I want to share.
Yeah.
From my experience of I've done double disputes, right? And they say don't do it because it's not really a good way to, tackle anything down. But I've tried it as an experiment, and I've gotten good results doing this at 2 different P.O. box addresses within the 30-day time frame to attack for the same reasons. So I've managed to take off student loans doing that.
Mm-hmm.
from my experience, guys. You know, as Neil was saying earlier with the PO box and you know, the TransUnion, I've done that kind of strategy and it worked. You know, but you got to be very consistent with the days. So what I do is I spread out the days apart from the beginning of the week to the end of the week to send to 2 different PO box addresses with the same reasons, and I've gotten some good results doing that.
I've been doing that for years.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
And the one thing you real quick, when you're doing, I do a 3-step process: suppression, freezes, I do PBIs, and I do account challenges. And what happens is, if you don't do it in a timely manner, you're up the creek. Because if you do it too soon, you're gonna do yourself in, because you didn't allow enough time for the suppressions and freezes to kick in, which is usually about 30 days. While that's taking effect, I do my personal bad identifiers. I can do 2 to 3 rounds, especially if I'm and I do a lot of stuff as far as PBIs on the credit bureau's portals. Like this morning, I challenged 19 Experian. I challenged 19 addresses, telephone numbers, all that stuff. And you ready for this? 18 of them got deleted.
Beautiful.
And I had the result within a couple hours.
Beautiful.
I had the results in a couple hours. So same way with TransUnion, everything was deleted except 2 accounts. So, you know, when I go to send my PBIs, even though I deleted all of them, I still send them anyway, because I don't trust the credit bureaus reinserting them. When they get that challenge letter for the accounts, I'm guaranteed for those addresses to be deleted from that report, because I sent them in again just in case they tried to sneak them on. This way, with them not being tied to the account challenges, I usually do very well with them.
Excellent. Oh man, y'all got a treat today. This is a special lunch treat.
Man, this is
Chick-fil-A.
This breakfast, lunch, and dinner, bro.
Hey man, yeah, we good to what's the date? Up to 3rd. I mean, that's great. Neil, we appreciate you, man. We're gonna have to
Brian,
post your cash app, man, and buy you lunch, man. You hooked us up with some good tips.
Like
Old school tips.
It just from the years of experience.
That's right, man.
That's all it is. I'm no better than nobody else.
Yeah.
You know, I put myself on the level with everybody out there, yourself.
Yeah.
I just want to help. That's all. All right.
So we're gonna have Neil's information on the description, where you can go to his group and benefit from his knowledge. Education and training is where it's at, Neil. I keep telling him that.
Yep.
And y'all need to get in Neil's circle, and if you want to continue to learn from him, because otherwise you're gonna spend 30 years where you can just spend what how many minutes? I mean either what you're gonna spend 30 years figuring this out, or you want to,
you spend an hour a day on factual challenges, a whole day, about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. Go in and look at our files, look at our letters that we have in there that people are using, having great results with, and so on. It's for you people. It's not for me. I enjoy doing this. It's all about sharing and giving back to something that's been good to me over the 15 years. Right. Brian's known me for a little while. I'm a no game player. I just tell it like it is, and I sleep good at night. If you don't like that, don't use my stuff. That's what I say.
We appreciate it. All right. Well, as I say, everyone stay safe, and God bless America. We're out.
You guys be safe, everybody.
Thank you very much.
All righty.
Have a good day.
You too.